Thanks, Chair, and I'll try and be brief. The Secretary of State rightly praised transport workers, particularly in the maritime sector, for keeping the sea lanes open in the earlier section we did, and thanked them for maintaining the delivery of vital supplies during the pandemic. In relation to rail, the Department has indicated by letter that there are no funds for a pay rise for the vast majority of rail workers. But of course, the committee are aware that there are funds for some things, profits, for example, and we've seen that in the IRMAs. And indeed, we had evidence presented to the committee from Arbello that said whatever model of outsourcing the government came up with in the Williams review, some sort of incentive in the form of a management fee would be necessary. Can I just tell the Secretary of State the total staffing bill for English train operating companies last year was 2.8 billion. So a pay rise equivalent to the RPI of 1.2% for the whole workforce would only cost around 33 million. Now, I would imagine the train operating company is going to get a lot more than that in profits through their management fees. So these are just rough figures. Could the Secretary of State provide for the committee a note estimating the cost of funding a 2-year pay rise at 1.2% for each year? And what would he budget to pay in management fees for the train operating companies over that same period? I know time's short, so if you don't have those figures, Mr Davies or Secretary of State, I don't mind if you write to the committee with them.
Understood, but look, I'll try to be brief. I think I can provide an overview of it. But for the first figure to know is that we put £10.1 billion into rail. So we've not walked away from it. During this coronavirus, we've funded an additional £10.1 billion. The second thing to say is that the Chancellor has, given the financial situation and things like that 10.1 billion, which makes up hundreds of billions, that he has spent in order to support this country during coronavirus, said that they can't be, there'll need to be pay freezes outside of things like healthcare, and I think most people understand why, given that people aren't actually using our rail system at the moment. Protecting jobs and employment in rail is frankly higher on my agenda right now than pay rises for this year, and I hope you'll understand why. Thirdly, it's not the case that the train operating companies under the emergency recovery measures agreements, the IRMAs, make profits. They don't. They get management charges in the same way as the Mayor of London pays a management charge to Arriva for running London Overground. It's a model which works with TfL, and I think it's a model that will work with the whole of national rail. The rail operating companies right now are involved in paying back tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of pounds, in sort of termination fees, which these termination sums have been agreed with, I think, 6 operators so far. And is real money. But look, I can come back to you with some maths on all of this. When you add into the system 1 year, in the same way as I was saying about the Mayor of London not having raised fares in previous years, it compounds over future years. So any attempt to sort of say it's only X, you have to compound forever into the system. And I just think that even talking to railway staff who've been magnificent and very, very absolutely stepped up to the plate. They also know, so have we. We've kept the system afloat with £10.1 billion. They know we've done our part. There has to be a balance in all of this. And job security and keeping jobs right now is higher on my list, I have to say, for this year, if I'm being completely blunt.
Secretary of State, I'd be grateful if you could furnish that information. But just very quickly, Chair, because Gavin Newland is having some problems. We're all terribly disappointed, not just on the committee, but employees and operators, about the delay in publishing the aviation recovery strategy. Could you shed any light on the position in relation to the Williams review, the white paper? Do we have a date for publication of that piece of work?
Well, I hope the whole committee's not disappointed about the aviation recovery plan not being. I don't know if you're speaking for everyone there. The fact is we can't publish it until we know where we are with the ending of coronavirus. Otherwise, it won't make any sense, and it will be out of date within a couple of weeks. So it's not I'm somehow sort of keeping it in the bottom drawer and not publishing it. It's because we need to see the end of the coronavirus or a clear route out. And if coronavirus has taught us one thing, and you can't predict that very confidently, and we've seen that before with the second wave coming back and so on and so forth. We've got the vaccine now, so it's different, but we're looking across the channel and around the world to see how fast other people vaccinate as well, and that will help to guide that. With Williams, I'm very, very keen, again, to publish the Williams review. I have been working on it for a year and a half, so we will have a sort of Williams Shapps version of it, which now takes into account coronavirus. And again, what's happened is this would have been out the door. This would have been well out the door if it had not been for coronavirus. But with coronavirus and the railway having to have £10 billion plus of funding and having to essentially take over the running of all of the otherwise independent rail companies, the train operating companies, it obviously changed the platform upon which we're based. In some ways, has helped to accelerate what were the Williams Review recommendations, because we do want that guiding mind approach to our railways. So that you won't, I hope, have to wait too long for a sort of Williams Shapps white paper on rail. But again, it is only because of coronavirus and needing to know broadly when this is going to return to normal passenger numbers that we're waiting to publish. But I hope it will happen presently.
Okay, I'm grateful for that, Secretary of State, and we wait the publication with bated breath. Now, I'll hand back